Hey guys, welcome back on the channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to yield farm on Solana, the best liquidity pools to do that, the ones which are not only the more stable because they involve blue chip assets which resist much better to market volatility. Also in the long run they will be the best or the safer option to earn yield on. They are the safest assets to hold for a long term, and at the same time we can find those assets into multiple liquidity pools paired with one another. When you provide liquidity to those, you're actually helping to strengthen Solana as a blockchain. So there's some utility for being a yield farmer, a liquidity provider on Solana, and in this video that's what we are going to explore. I'm going to show you the best pairs, the more solid ones for you to provide liquidity, generate you crypto passive income in the long run. If you have any questions, if there's something you want further explanation upon, let me know in the comments. That being said, let's dive in. Looking here on DeFi Llama, you can see that it's the second ranked blockchain in many metrics. It has a DeFi TVL of 8 billion, almost 9 billion actually. The DEX's volume for the past 24 hours are over 4 billion. It's by far the blockchain also with the most amount of active addresses. So all this put together really make Solana to stand out. We also see that there's a lot of fees being paid on their main DEXs. The first protocol is Pump.Fun. This is mostly a launchpad, so it's going to be more risky to get involved here. But Meteora has been doing really well recently in the last few months. They kinda, I wouldn't say took the spotlight, but they did take some of the market from Radium and even Orca, which is the oldest DEX on Solana. And actually all of these three exchanges, Radium here ranking 6th, when it comes to TVL, 1.5 billion in TVL, Meteora with almost 900 million in TVL, and also Orca with over 300 million in TVL. These three DEXs can be used to provide liquidity and earn some passive income on Solana. Basically, what we're going to do with them is that you're going to provide liquidity to specific liquidity pools, and when you're doing that, you're actually helping to strengthen the blockchain because you're allowing for traders to trade among those set pools that you want to provide liquidity on. So whatever pool you are on, be it a blue chip asset or be meme coins, you are actually investing in the blockchain. You're putting liquidity actively to work on the blockchain and allowing traders to trade. So let's go back here on DEX screener. We see we have sorted things out by top volume because I want to see the most active pairs or the most profitable pairs. But when it comes to blue chips, actually you see here ranking second, there's Trump, a meme coin, but I would stay away from it. I mean, I think it's much better to provide liquidity to blue chip assets. The first traded pair here when it comes to volume is Solana paired with USDC. This is something I highlighted previously on other videos. This is definitely one of the main liquidity pairs you want to be invested on if you are willing to provide liquidity on Solana and overall investing on Solana. This will have a great performance over time. 36 million in liquidity. The volume is almost 230 million, so it's roughly 7x volume to liquidity ratio. The higher the better. So this performs really well. Over time you'll get really good results with this one, even if you go with a little bit wider range, which is something I advise beginners to do because you won't get out of range that often. But there's other options. The thing with this Solana or any other crypto paired with a stablecoin is that those pairs might be a little bit more prone to impermanent loss. And although you only lock in impermanent loss when you rebalance or readjust your position or even go out of the pool, it can be a little bit disheartening, especially for beginners. The thing with this type of pools of a volatile asset paired with a stablecoin that makes it more prone to have impermanent loss, it's just because of the stablecoin. If you go here on the correlations matrix on DeFi Llama, we can see just that. Let me just add in USDC. So let's focus here on Sol paired with USDC. You see the score here, 0.12. It's not bad, but it is not also as good as it could be. For example, if we ignore this and look at Solana paired with other blue chip assets, with Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, pay attention that we are looking at the 1 year time frame. So we're looking at the correlation for the past year. The correlation here is much higher with any of this versus compared with the stablecoin. So that means the price of Solana and Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, they pretty much move together, and that tends to happen when we're talking about blue chip assets. Of course, Bitcoin is the big daddy of crypto. Whatever Bitcoin does, the whole market reflects. But we're looking at the 64% correlation here when you look at Solana paired with Bitcoin, 63 when paired with Ethereum, and 70 when paired with BNB. Actually, I like this one a lot. It's Solana paired with BNB and also paired with Bitcoin. We can find those liquidity pools on Solana, provide liquidity to them, and the kicker is that you will not go out of range as long as this correlation keeps ranking really high. So let's see for the past month. It's even better. You see, the top score you could be having here is 1, which would be 100% correlation, but we're very close to that. 94, 92, 88, and that's for the past month. For the past week, it's even better. And now we are looking also on the past week at the red score here when it comes to Solana paired with USDC. That's because the market has been really volatile. Solana has been moving in price quite a lot, so that's gonna happen. The worst case scenario is that you look at your liquidity pool and then you're having impermanent loss, you're going out of range, you're not generating fees, and you feel the need to readjust things. That can be a bit tricky, especially if you're a beginner. But if you're providing liquidity to these blue chip pairs, even if the price doubles, for example, even if Bitcoin price doubles, if Solana price also doubles or nearly doubles, you will not be out of range. The matter is if the price of both assets moves the same way. The same thing goes if the price goes down. If Bitcoin drops 30%, it's no big of a deal if Solana also drops 30%. So you would still be looking at a very high score here on the correlation matrix, okay? That's why it's also very important to, when you're providing liquidity, choose a pair that is highly correlated. That will keep impermanent loss at the bay, at least theoretically. We cannot predict the future, of course. This is all based on past results. You see, 7 days, last month, last year. But going back here, let's go back on Solana liquidity pools, and let's see which is the one other than Solana paired with USDC that we can find here. We're looking for Solana paired with Bitcoin, Ethereum, or BNB, right? Okay, so here we have the first pair, wrapped Bitcoin paired with Solana on Meteora, 2.2 million in liquidity, volume is 10x. Great pair to provide liquidity on. Even if you're not keen on providing liquidity on Meteora, you can still find this same pair on both Radium and Orca, and it will perform just as well in the long run. As long as you are on a top DEX, and like we saw in the beginning, all of these 3, Orca, Radium, and Meteora, are top DEXs on Solana, you should be good to go. Some days the same pair will be performed better in one exchange, some days it will perform better in other exchange. It's going to be a bit of a back and forth in that manner. You see, ranking here a little bit lower, on the 28th spot we have the same pair, but on Orca, 18.7 million in volume, 7 million in liquidity. So the volume to liquidity ratio here is not as high, and that's why they're ranking lower, of course. But then we have another one, wrapped Ethereum paired with Solana on Orca still. Like we just saw, they are very well correlated. It would be potentially also a really good choice. Then there's another tokenized version of Bitcoin, CBBTC. This is backed by Coinbase, paired with Solana. It's also pegged to Bitcoin's price, so you might want to have exposure to that as well. But it's just a matter of choosing, or maybe just spreading your assets through all of these pairs. For example, if you have a couple $1,000 and you want to provide liquidity on Solana, you can spread it through Solana paired with Bitcoin, Solana paired with Ethereum, and Solana paired with BNB. But of course, if you have a favorite one, I think it's always a good idea to have exposure to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin paired with Solana, that would be definitely something I would be interested on. But personally, I also like BNB a lot, so that's also something I would look forward to provide liquidity on. And like we just saw for the past year, this has tremendous correlation. So even if you experience some amount of impermanent loss, highly likely the fees generated in the meanwhile, they will be making up for it. But remember, impermanent loss only matters when you lock it. So when you go out of a position. That's why it's very important to set ranges optimally. And another thing when setting ranges, so let's for example go here, choose this pair, we can go on Orca, find it, and provide liquidity in full range. I just showed you that on a different video, but if you go full range, range. You'll have lower rewards, yes, lower fees, but it will generate 24/7 non-stop. You don't even have to worry about putting a minimum range and a maximum range, none of that. So let's find here on Orca this pool. So there's a ton of pools for wrap Bitcoin paired with Solana, different fee tiers, and you can set the yield here to be showing you what is projected to be for the next year or for the next month, 30 days, for the next week, even 30 days. It's a good metric. Things are really volatile. I mean, if you go for a whole year, likely at the end of a year you'll not have this result. Markets are just that volatile. But having a filter here for the projection of the next 30 days might be a good idea. At least I like to do that myself. So we have this first pool here. This is the one performing the best, although it has a lower fee tier, but almost 5% a month. And I wouldn't shy away from earning 5% a month on blue chip assets, paid both in Bitcoin and Solana. So this pool tends to have a lot of action because of the fee tier. You'll see that these pools with blue chip assets, if you look at the fee tier of 0.05%, they will have a lot of action overall through time. The higher the fee tier, the lower the volume they will have. And then you can also look at the liquidity. For example, this one only has $2,000 in liquidity. So when there are market conditions where there's not all that much demand in trading, this pool will be tapped on less frequently. So that's why it's generating a lower amount of volume. While in here, in the first one, the volume is higher than the TVL. But if there's a lot of on-market activity, on-chain activity, usually even these higher fee tier pools might be tapped on more frequently and have a higher volume. And if it would be the case that we would have the same volume to TVL ratio on this one, of course this one would be performing better because it has a 1% fee tier. That's what traders will pay for using the pool. Traders, of course, they want to pay the lowest amount of fees, so when you're looking at this 0.05% fee tier, it's going to be more busy pool because of that, and you can see just that in the volume. And actually, let's look at some pools that have BNB paired with Solana here on Orca as well. So this one is doing quite well. TVL over $280,000, volume not as high as it could be, but it has a really high fee tier, 0.3%. These pools also tend to perform really well. 2.4% after a whole month. I mean, I wouldn't shy away. Once again, we're looking at the two blue chip assets. Although this is not the type of token, BNB doesn't have as much action nearly on Solana, and you might want to provide liquidity to this same pair, but on PancakeSwap on the BNB chain. It will likely have better results there. The thing is that if we're going on PancakeSwap on the BNB chain to provide liquidity to this same pair, you're not operating on the Solana blockchain, but on the BNB smart chain. That's the main difference overall. And just for the sake of showing you, let me just click on this one. And now let's see what's up with ranges. Now, if you want to be fully on passive, just click full range. You see the estimated yield now dropped significantly. It's now less than 1%, 0.23% in a whole month. That's the catch, because you won't have to bother about setting ranges, manage your position. You'll be generating fees non-stop. If this is not enough for you, if you want to squeeze more out of your LP position, you need to go custom. And if you do that, then you'll have to set up your own ranges, minimum and maximum. So let's go here with 10%, for example. So this is 10% on the downside, and on the upside overall, we're looking at a 20% range. And in a month, this would yield us almost 5%. Again, really great stuff. I mean, if it keeps up like this, at the end of the year, we're talking about over 50% return on our LP position, paid in both blue chip assets, and that is not even accounting for potential price appreciation of BNB and Solana. Because if BNB or Solana, or even both, if they jump to $1,000, I mean, that would be great, and also it would reflect itself in the earnings of your position. So you would earn much more than over 50%, of course. 50% is just the yield that is coming from your initial deposit, and that yield can be further multiplied if the market is in your favor, and if these assets keep on appreciating. And that's about it. That's what I wanted to show you about the best blue chip assets to earn yield on Solana. It's not rocket science, guys. Find the best pools, provide liquidity to them. Don't set up too tight of ranges, at least not in the beginning when you're just getting a feel of how liquidity providing works, how to generate crypto passive income. Of course, this is not financial advice, but I'm sharing information with you guys, and I believe crypto is the financial revolution. If you want to join in, be part of it, start providing on-chain liquidity. This brings yields light years ahead of what traditional finance offers. If you're wondering about safety, all of these dexes, stick with top dexes, Radium, Meteora, Orca. They've been around for a while, especially Orca and Radium. Nothing crazy happened when it comes to security, but of course, risk is the name of the game in DeFi, so you gotta be comfortable with that at least, alright? So if you have any questions, guys, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe for more of this type of content. If you want to join a yield farming dedicated community, check out the description for links on the Underdog investor group. My affiliate link will get you 20% off on your first month, but you can definitely speed up your DeFi knowledge with them, start generating some passive income, and put your money to work in the financial revolution that crypto brings to the world. That being said, guys, keep exploring crypto. Take care. I'll see you on the next one.